Hey everybody, this is PJ Reilly from Lancaster Archery. Exciting day today here in our shooting center. I am with Jason Chapman and we're here to tell you about the Gamma Scan from Atomic. Jason, this thing has a ton of features for archers, beneficial features. You run down for me some of the things that they can get from the Gamma Scan.
Yeah, the Gamma Scan is basically a wireless Bluetooth sensor. The sensor straps to your bow, Bluetooth through your phone. What it does is it tracks the movement of your bow as you're aiming. There's a lot of user-defined features in there, such as draw length, draw weight, D-loop length, stabilizer weights, front and back bar, all that kind of thing. So as you go through the app and you go through the shooting motions and you change some of those features, it tracks the movement, whether it's better or worse. Right. And then when you get to the end of that shooting session, it's going to rank you on your movement. It's going to give you a score from 1 to 100. So basically what it does is you work through the setup of your bow. It's going to tell you, did you make a good change or a bad change?
And so the end result is, obviously, as compound archers, we want that pin and the bow to be as steady as possible. I mean, in a perfect world, no movement, zero movement.
Correct.
And as you mentioned, all those things, draw length, holding weight, stabilizer length, stabilizer weight, position, all that affects your ability to hold steady. And so with the Gamma Scan, you can go through and check each one to find out what works best for you.
Absolutely.
Because what works for you may not work for me.
Correct. You know, in the old days, you'd stand on the range and you would make a change and you'd say, hey, you know, that feels a little better. Make another change. Well, now that's really close, but we don't know which one is there. With the Gamma Scan, now you have hard facts, you've got hard data to go back and look at the chart, look at the scores, and you know, it's hard to dispute when you got hard facts right in front of you on whether the change worked or not.
Right. Well, all right, so we're going to run through the setup and operation of the Gamma Scan for you to show you just how it works. First off, it's going to come to you in this box here, which is great packaging, and inside even better, you're going to get a little Pelican case there that has inside, protected in foam. This is your Gamma Scan. This is a charge cord. There's also going to be a card in here that tells you where to go online to get a full list of detailed instructions for the operation of this. And Jason, I ran through the instructions. They're pretty, I mean, it's comprehensive. It covers everything you need to know.
Yeah, you know, when we went through the Gamma Scan, when we started setting things up, instructions and that whatnot, we wanted to make sure that when you got it from the box, you'd be able to walk through it simple, no issues, get it on your bow in the least amount of time possible and start shooting.
Gotcha. All right, well, let's get this on my bow and we'll start shooting. We'll take a couple shots. Okay, so this is the Gamma Scan device. It's got a nice Velcro strap that we're going to put on the riser here. And Jason, so out of the box, I have already charged this. What is the charge time that it takes?
Yeah, so first of all, PJ, it comes from us fully charged. But if the battery was, let's say, full dead, it takes 1 hour to charge it.
Gotcha.
Once you plug it in, it'll have a red light on the front of it, and when it's fully charged, the light goes out.
Perfect. And battery life, once it's fully charged, it'll run for?
Runs about 7 to 8 hours if you were to leave it on continuously.
That's incredible. So from the instructions and from using it already, we know that we want the device just strapped onto the riser so that the light faces you. I got it on there. It's pretty snug. It's not super snug, but it doesn't need to be. And as you said, up and down, we have the on-off switch is low, and the light facing the shooter, because that's going to be what tells me what to do.
Yep. You've got it installed in the correct position.
All right, so we'll turn it on here. So it's the blinking blue light, which tells us it has not found the sensor. So then you go to, for Android users, you go to the App Store, and I have already downloaded the Gamma Scan app. And so I want to start with my settings. And now it has sensitivity, which has beginner, intermediate, advanced. So explain the difference in those.
So what those are basically is, you know, as you progress up the scale and you become more of an advanced shooter, or you're able to hold steadier, we had to basically make the graph portion of that zoom in, because what we found was the guys that were holding really steady, they would have just a small dot in the middle of their graph. You really couldn't see the movement. So
gotcha.
Beginner, you know, that's for the guys that have a larger pattern. It's pulled away or zoomed out, and as you move up the ladder, like I said, advanced, that blows the graph up so you can see the data.
You'll see that when you watch the graph. You'll see the pattern of my stabilizer movement. So I have it on advanced. Now I have setup time set at 10 seconds, and so for me, what I've found is We want this to record when I'm at full draw, aiming, holding steady.
Correct.
So you don't want it running through the draw cycle, because then it's going to be moving all over.
Yeah, that's another user-defined field. You get a feel for how long it takes you to draw back, get anchored in. You want to set that time period. So it gives you time to get comfortably drawn back. You're not in a hurry, you're not in a rush. Then it'll start recording after you're anchored in and ready to start aiming.
Gotcha. So I have that at 10 seconds. And I have the recording duration. For me, I have it at 5 seconds, but obviously you can set that for however long that's going to take. Okay, so we will hit start shooting. All right, now we come to the setup menu. This is where I'm going to put in all my information. I'm going to put my shooter as PJ. Draw weight, I am at 58 pounds. Draw length, 29.75. Front stabilizer length, I have a 30-inch bar. Stabilizer weight with 8 ounces. Rear stabilizer length, I have a 15-inch, and the weight is 24 ounces. So, and it goes down through others, D-loop length, holding weight, peep height. You can fill all that in, whatever you want to check. That's what you want to set.
We tried to put any aspect that could affect the stability of the bow, how well you aim into there as a category. So,
gotcha. So now I hit start session, and here's that graph that comes up, and it has a green record button. And so I'll hand this to you, and what we're just going to do is you're going to hit record, or even I could hit it myself if I were by myself. Just come to full draw, and it's going to start recording at 10 seconds.
Correct.
So what I want to do is hold on target as steady as possible. That's my goal here, and then we'll see what it does. All right, so Jason, we got the solid blue light here. Then when you hit record, I've got 10 seconds to come to full draw, and then what people are going to see is this is going to turn green. That's how I know it's recording. When it turns back to blue, then the recording is stopped.
That's correct. One other feature, PJ, too, is if you have your phone, the volume is up, you'll get a beep when it starts recording, and you'll get a double beep when it stops recording.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so I hit the record button.
So we can see the pattern track there. Looks pretty good, but we want to take a couple more of those to get an overall average of what I'm guessing that's the goal of this. And explain to me, okay, it says 1 of 10.
Yeah, so what it's doing is there's a 10-shot sequence, and it's averaging those 10 shots together and then taking your average, and that's how it gives you your score.
Gotcha. All right, well, let's take a couple more here. All right, go ahead.
Okay, record button's activated.
All right, we got 2 there.
Looks like you're holding pretty good there.
More. Well, beginner's luck.
Now you did make a change based on what some of your data you saw in this, correct?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I'll talk about that in just a second here, because that was interesting to me. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right, so we did 3, but we could go to 10. And so, like I said, we have the graph, so I could take a screenshot of that graph if I wanted to save what my hold pattern looked like, correct? But let's go ahead to the next feature.
So let's say you're done shooting, you shot 5, 6 shots, whatever it was. Go to hit view score, brings up your score. So you've got a 90 out of 100 with your current setup.
Okay, and now the goal of this for me would be to try and increase that.
Correct.
And so I'm going to do that I'm going to try and do that by playing with basically everything.
Right. What you would do in this case is you would hit change shooter setup, takes you back to the main setup screen, and then you would change something, whether it be your stabilizer length, your stabilizer weights, draw length, D-loop length, whatever it may be.
Gotcha. And as we were talking, I always shoot a 33-inch bar, I told you, for indoor. And then I switched to 30-inch for outdoors just because I thought it cut the wind. But in my mind, I held steadier indoor with the 33. But then in doing this testing, I actually found I actually hold steadier with the 30. Now, I never would have thought that, but that's what the data showed.
Yeah, you know, the guys that have been doing testing for us, they've all reported back similar findings that they thought their setup was rock solid. They're changing things based on what they see here, and it's made their setup that much better.
Gotcha. And now I can just, as we were talking about, I can just play with everything. Keep checking my data, you know, starting off with draw length. Going to holding weight. I can play with that. Stabilizers, whatever. Anything that may affect my holding ability, I can check that for score and see what it does for me.
Yeah, what I would do and what I would recommend is if you get a new bow or you just want to strip everything down except for the rest and the sight, I'd start at the beginning and I would work with your poundage and then I would work with your holding weight, your D-loop length. Work each category until you can't get that score any higher, then go to the next category. I realize your score may go down because you're working on a new feature,
right?
But spend the time to work through each category, add the bars on, no weights, everything's parallel to the ground, start working with the angles, in, out, up, down on your back bar, add an ounce to the front, to the back. Spend a few hours going through that. When you get to the point where you've went through every category on there, that bow is going to be holding the steadiest it's ever going to hold for you.
So in talking about some of the applications of this and some of the thinking outside of the box things, we were talking about you've been working with some pros on this and they've been telling you about standing on uneven terrain, or tell me some of the features, you know, thinking outside the box that pros have been able to put this to use for.
Yeah, that's a good point because it's something we didn't think about. Talking to some of the guys that are shooting it for us, testing it, they said, hey, we're going to take it outdoors. And I said, well, you know, what are you going to do that for? They take it outdoors. They want to stand on a, you know, uphill, downhill, side hill, you know, as their front foot raised, and they're going to see how that affects the pattern or their score on the unit. Right. And then they're going to take notes. You could enter it right in here or on a notepad. So when you go to the IBO or ASA, you're standing on similar terrain, you could pull that out and say, okay, well, I know I had to shift my foot maybe 2 inches, open my stance 2 inches to bring that score back down to where it needed to be.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a useful feature because it's kind of hard to figure out where you got to, you know, stand or how to stand to get your ultimate stability on a hill.
Yeah, obviously we're indoor here, so it's flat, but as you mentioned, you can be unstable on different terrain, uphill, shooting downhill. So again, to find what works best, you can use this to figure that out.
Absolutely.
The Gamma Scan by Atomic, that is incredible. And as we were just talking, you know, some archers, you can see your pin moving in the scope there. So that lets you know there's some movement, but you may not be able to perceive small differences. Whereas this, how does this show you what those movements actually are?
Yeah, exactly like you said, PJ. You might make a change, you might not be able to detect that movement. So the basis of the Gamma Scan is it works on an algorithm that the guys back at the shop have designed, and they've worked through the numbers. So it's the math and the science behind it. Right. But it tracks your movement, runs it through that algorithm, and that's how it gives you that score and ranks your shots at the end.
And as you know, some of the people you were working with, and as I noticed too, something may feel like it's working better, but it may not be, and the numbers don't lie.
Exactly. We've had some guys that said, hey, you know, I thought I was a pretty steady shooter, ran myself through the Gamma Scan, and I found out a couple small changes really made me a lot more steady and a lot more of a solid shooter.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for coming in, Jason. I'm going to do a little more playing with this thing and see what I need to figure out.
Appreciate it, PJ. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that is the Gamma Scan by Atomic. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, if you have any questions, you can visit us at LancasterArchery.com.